How are some players a sea of calm before a tournament, but others become frantic or disorganised? If you're unsure how to prepare for a tournament, whether it's a narrative event or a super major, I'm here to help you out. Hello and welcome to Incursion Tactics. My name's Luke, and this week I will be mostly talking about setting up for success. An event's coming up, you've brought your ticket, now organising everything, writing a list, getting the practice games in, rewriting a list, that last minute painting, and finally the existential crisis about your list. As an experienced tournament player and event organiser, I've had lots of exposure to the frantic rush to get battle ready, and I'm here to tell you it doesn't need to be that way. I'm going to discuss my tried and tested approach to getting the most out of one of the best things about this hobby, attending events. One thing in particular will change how you plan for your next one. But before we get carried away, the basics. We need to read the rules pack. Now, anyone who knows me personally will know this is a bit of a meme at this point, but I get asked a lot of questions as a tournament organiser, and certain ones make it very obvious when someone has not read the rules pack, which I don't mind. It's my role as a TO, and any excuse I get to deploy this, I take with both hands. But in all seriousness, if you're attending an event, step one is to familiarise yourself with the lay of the land. Literally, how the terrain is laid out will be very important, how the terrain works, and any additional rules that might be in place that differ from event to event around the terrain. Is the terrain going to be WTC, UKTC, Games Workshop, maybe even player placed? I'm going to explore these different terrain layouts in a different video, but for now, each one of these opens up different options from a list building perspective. If you expect more dense boards, infantry-based melee armies might have a better time, for example. I've been to singles events where players didn't understand how tiebreakers worked, only to be disappointed when they didn't place as high as they thought they would. They made decisions at list building and in-game that directly impacted how well they ended up doing as a result. If they'd read the rules pack, it would have meant that they had all this information beforehand and not had that negative experience. And that is a really important thing, whether it's terrain or tiebreakers or some other FAQ that might be in effect that's different from tournament to tournament. This information is really important to how you're going to put together your army and the experience you may or may not end up having. And knowing all of this beforehand will help to temper your expectations and also avoid any gotcha moments. If things are functioning in a way that you're not expecting, it's likely to blow up in your face and you could have a really bad time for it. So it's really, really important to just make sure you're ahead of that curve. When it comes to list construction, this is the aspect that, rightly so, takes the largest amount of time and energy with the players. We agonise over what to take, and really the only answer to help with this is discussion and practice. Chat with other players for advice and practice the list so that you're familiar with it ahead of time. In this week's members video, I'm going to discuss this in more detail. If you're enjoying this content and would like to support the channel, then please consider becoming a member. It's $2.99 a month and you get access to an additional video every week where I discuss even more about how you can get the most out of this hobby and improve. The next thing is to get organised. This sounds obvious, but us hobbyists tend to be lacking on this important life skill. We spend a lot of time thinking about this game, army lists, painting, sometimes the basics like what time does the event start? When are lists due? These things slip our minds. This information will be in the rules pack, by the way. Download, screenshot, print this information out so you have it to hand. Plan ahead. Make sure you know what time you're leaving, bring food, plenty of water, pack your bag the night before. Do a little mental checklist of all the things that you're going to need so that you don't leave anything behind. It's not fun to turn up to an event late or missing something important. You're going to have enough to be thinking about just playing your games, and so do future you a favour and plan the boring logistical bits ahead of time so that you can have a stress-free event and reduce your cognitive load on the day. I touched on food just there, and it's a very important thing to think about whilst we're on the topic of mental load. And I've listened to a podcast the other day where someone said that they eat as much food at going to a 40k tournament that they would have when they go to a powerlifting event. Now, just let that sink in for a moment. The mental demand of this game is very real. And not to go off at a tangent, but I'm sure I've seen the actual calories you burn whilst doing something cognitive like playing a game of chess or I don't know, playing 3 rounds of Warhammer is on a par with doing something physically demanding. And so if you're trying to compete, to really focus and think and play well, get as far as possible in the event, then it will be draining. Maybe avoid a Vindaloo the night before. have a big breakfast on the day, avoid stodgy junk food and alcohol so you can fuel your body and your mind for the day. Don't forget to stay hydrated, that's another big thing. Nothing sets off a stress headache or a migraine like 8 hours in a stuffy event hall, hunched over a table, constantly thinking about Warhammer. Bring plenty of water with you so that you can stay sharp. Or don't, I'm not your mum. And if you want to rock up with minimal prep, sink some beers and eat some pizza whilst rolling dice with your mates, then go for it. We all attend events for different reasons, and if that's how you want to enjoy yourself, then don't listen to all these ways to suck the fun out of it for you. If just being there meets your expectations for the day, then fantastic, you're smashing it. And in that right there lies the key question. I said at the beginning of this video that there is one thing that will change how you approach your next event, and this is it. Why are you going? What are you hoping to get out of it? This, if you answer it honestly, will set you up for true success when attending events. I've gone to tournaments before with themed armies, rogue lists, for fun, thinking I'd enjoy it, then found myself frustrated when I was getting trounced. I don't mind losing, but I realised that I get more enjoyment in an environment like that when I'm playing something competitive, trying to outfox my opponents. I love playing fluffy games, wacky armies, but if I'm actually going to a tournament, if I'm taking time, energy, money, effort going to a tournament, I enjoy taking the best army I can and the mental puzzle of trying to win with it. Then if I lose, I get the fun part of trying to figure out why and how I can do better next time. That might sound like anathema to some people, and that's fine. That's how I enjoy events and how I want to engage with events. It might not be how everyone enjoys going to events. And so the point is, if you know you enjoy going to events just for the fun of it, you don't give a tinker's fig if you win or lose, then how you prepare and how you set yourself up for success is going to be a lot different than someone trying to achieve best ranked Space Marine player for the year. And so naturally the answer to this should help fuel our mindset and our intentions, our plans when we're setting up for the event. If we're preparing our army for an event, we really want to ask ourselves what we're attending for and what we're hoping to get out of it. If you're deliberating what to take in your army, this is going to be really helpful. If you're trying to play to win, then taking units that you're a bit attached to might be a bit of a pet unit if you don't have enough information if they're going to be good enough, or maybe you're just a bit biased because it's your favourite unit. Then you need to be more objective with that decision process, and if you're trying to play to win, then maybe that unit's not the right choice. Think about something that's a bit more objective or more in line with what your expectations are to win in the event, and take something that's a bit more powerful or that complements your list a bit better. It's a much different mindset to someone who is just throwing their army together. They've got a combat patrol, a couple of cool units, that's their army, happy days. If you have a goal in mind, these goals shouldn't be the be all and end all. Nothing wrong with having a goal in terms of win-loss record. It's all good, but we don't want to lose sight of the social aspect. We would all do well to remember we're playing the game against other human beings and should make it our objective that both parties have a pleasant and fun experience. That's what makes these events so awesome after all. If we create a positive environment, we will find success no matter if we win or lose. If you feel I've missed anything out, let me know in the comments section below. Funny stories you've had preparing for a tournament, whether you've missed a bus and had to get into round 2, or you've had a mayor doing some last minute painting. I remember once I had to paint units from scratch that I put in my list. I thought I'd painted them, but I hadn't actually even opened the box. I'd already submitted the list, so I had a mad rush at the last minute, so I had to basically throw them together and get battle ready in a very short amount of time, like 48 hours before the tournament, which was not the right way to prepare for a tournament. So yeah, let me know if you've had any amusing stories around getting prepared for an event. If you'd like to support the video, please do check out the affiliate links in the video description below. Utilising those is a really easy way to support the channel if you're thinking about buying miniatures already. And another thing to think about is the meta. Keep a tempered approach here though, so you don't get lost in the numbers. I go over some things to keep in mind when considering the meta in your tournament prep, and you can find that video here. But that's all from me for now. Hopefully this has been insightful and will help your tournament prep. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching, keep rolling those dice, and stay tuned for more.